Well, hi y'all, Chef Don again. Good to see you. Welcome back, friends. So last time we did eggs. We did eggs 4 ways. Easy peasy, all right? But I'm going to show you a signature baking dish of mine that I use for a lot of get-togethers and so forth. And it's easy as can be, and it's pretty quick. So that's what we're going to head into today. All right, we are going to make Scottish shortbread today.
Scotland forever!
We used to make this for our pastors all the time every Christmas, and we had 9 pastors, so that's a lot of butter and a lot of shortbread. Now we go to a little bit smaller church and we only have 3 pastors, so we still make it for them. And I did take some back to our old pastors just because we love them. All right, now the one thing that works well for people is if you have all your ingredients ready to go. Okay, so what we have is our butter. Okay, we have all-purpose flour, we have sugar, and my secret ingredient, vanilla. Okay, so they're all right here and they're ready to go. All right, now the other thing is I have made this hundreds and hundreds of times, but I do have some memory issues. I've had some strokes, so it's fine for you to have your recipe handy. Okay, and the reason for that is it has all your measurements right there just to remind you, but it's good to have that available. All right, so it is amazing to me that out of these 3 main ingredients that you can create something that is so delicious. And then of course we have our secret ingredient right there. So we're going to start out with 3 cups of all-purpose flour. That's what this is. Now you have to be careful. I made this at my in-laws house one time, and I didn't realize I was using self-rising flour. And that has the leavening agents in there and the salt in there. So when it was all said and done, we were ready to eat it, and it tasted awful because it was the wrong flour. So make sure you have all-purpose flour. Okay, so you're going to reach down in this bag and you're going to pull up a nice heaping amount. Try to keep it in the bag, but you're going to even it out. Okay, you're going to do that with a knife. Okay, so just take that across the top, even that out, and then you have a nice even cup. Okay, and we're going to do that 3 times. Okay, now go ahead and move this out of the way. All right, next we're going to do 2/3 cup of white sugar. Okay, now some people like brown sugar, and you can do that if you'd like. This is a 2/3 cup measuring cup. Okay, sometimes all you'll have maybe is 1/3 of a cup. You just put 2 of those in, but I have it measuring that's a 2/3 cup. So I'm going to go in here. And we're just going to dip it down in there, and see it's overflowing a little bit, so once again just even that off and dump it right in there. Okay, get this out of the way. Now here is the ingredient that makes all of it happen. Everything's best with butter, and this double recipe takes 3 sticks of butter. Okay, now I go ahead and I use salted butter because it just has a little bit of salt, and I like that flavor in my shortbread, and it's not enough to really change the flavor too much. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, I'm going to drop these in there. 3 sticks of butter is a lot. Okay. All right, now some people that make shortbread say, oh, you've got to use cold butter and make sure that you cut it into the dry ingredients. I don't do that. I'm going to show you a little trick that works well for me, and it has always worked well for me. It just kind of speeds everything up a little bit. Okay, now don't get rid of these wrappers. All right, I'm going to show you a little secret. So this already has butter on it, and you want to butter your pan. So just take this wrapper come over to your pan, rub it across the edges, across the bottom. If you need a little bit more, take one of your other wrappers. Might as well use it, it's all there. All right, now you can go ahead and toss these out. Now, I'm gonna use my hands for this part, so I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands. Always good to make sure that our hands are nice and clean. I went ahead and took off my ring too. This ring doesn't come off, so I can't take it off. But I'll wash my hands again once we're done. So. All right, so here's my secret. This is how I do it. Okay, so we have all this butter in here. Instead of doing it cold, I go ahead and I melt the butter. Okay, so we're gonna come on over here, slide this in the microwave. I've got a plastic cover thing in here. I'm gonna go ahead and put that over the top because sometimes it can pop. And I'm gonna set it for 2 minutes, okay? All right, now, we only add about a teaspoon of vanilla. But what I have found out over the years is that it's about a capful. So just use your cap right there. Pour that into there. Put it right into your batter, okay? And that gives it such a wonderful silky flavor. It really makes all the difference. So, and this is real vanilla, pure vanilla extract. You can use imitation if that's what you have. It still tastes absolutely delicious. And some people would say, oh, well, use clear vanilla because this was brown. You know, it doesn't really affect the color, so you don't have to really worry about that. Okay, let's get rid of this. You know, when you clean up as you go, it makes things a lot easier in the end, and you will thank yourself later. Okay, so we'll just set those over here out of the way. All right, and I'm following the recipe here. As I said, we're going to make a double batch, so this is a 9 by 13 glass pan, and I'll show you what we do with that here in just a minute. Let me just set this aside so we can recycle it. I'll just put it right here. All right, let me take a look here and see how we're doing. Yeah, it's melting. All right. So my family is from Scotland. You can see I have my Highland cow apron there, and so we just love our heritage. And my grandma came over from Scotland. Her name was Susan Stoker, and we're part of the Dewar clan. But we love our shortbread, and we've been making it for years. All right, let's take a gander here. All right, that's all good and melted. Now be careful, this is going to be hot. Now this is tempered glass, so this doesn't get as hot, but you're going to see some steam rising off of there, so just be careful. Okay, now you're going to come over and you're just going to put this right into your batter. Okay, now I use my spatula again here. Get all of that butter. You don't want to waste any of it. Okay, I got a stick that didn't melt very well, but it should get incorporated just fine. Okay, so in the initial phase, I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to mix all these ingredients together. Now I have found over the years that with that butter being liquid, being melted already, that it just mixes in so well. You can see how it's all just incorporating. It's kind of making a tan, thick batter there. We want to try to get everything off the sides, so that's what the spatula is good for. All right. Now, as I said, I've washed my hands and I was able to get this ring off, so I'm just going to use this hand and I'm going to knead this just a little bit. Yes, we definitely need some shortbread, but I'm talking about mixing up the dough, okay? And you just fold it in on itself, push it down, fold it in on itself. And what you're doing is you're just incorporating all the ingredients. You're making sure that you get all of that flour incorporated, because if you don't, it might have a raw flour taste, and that's not very pleasant, okay? So, just about got it done. We don't want to overwork it, okay? We just want to make sure we get all of it nicely incorporated. All right, now see, that's a nice solid dough. Okay, we don't have to let this chill or anything like that. We're just gonna put it right into here. It's okay if some of the butter isn't quite melted. It's gonna bake, so it will melt in there. Okay. All right. Now, once again, I just use my hands to put it down in the pan. I'm gonna mash it flat. This is really a fun thing to do with the kids. They like to help. Make sure they wash their hands and remind them to wash their hands. And I have some aprons that I let them use. And so see, we're just making this flat. We're gonna make it fit into the pan. Now, what you're gonna see is that on the sides here, it's not gonna be as thick as it is in the middle. And that's okay. Those sides will be a little bit thinner for folks that just don't want as big of a bite. All right, but I do try to make it kind of pat down and even. All right. All right, there's that. Now, one of the things that we do is we use a fork to poke holes, okay? And what that does is it allows the steam to escape and it helps the cookies bake more completely and thoroughly and evenly. All right. Plus it gives it its character there. A lot of times you'll see shortbread with these holes in it. It's the same basic concept. Okay, but I'm just doing them about every inch or so. Just do it right across the whole pan. And they're ready to go into the oven, okay? Now I preheated the oven, but I'm gonna show you how to set the oven as though we hadn't set it, okay? So I set it to 350, preheated it, so it's ready to go in. But our oven is all electronic. So what we would do is come up here, hit upper oven. So that's this oven up here, not the one down here. Hit bake, and it automatically goes to 350. So then you can change it to whatever degree you want, but we want 350. And hit start. It's already at 350, so it's all ready to go in, okay? Now, when you open this, everything inside of here is gonna be very hot. So don't touch the inside of the door, don't touch the racks in there, okay? But you're gonna slide this in. You can use a mitt if you want to. You just slide it right there, middle rack, right in the middle of that rack, okay? Now go ahead and close it. Now, you wouldn't want to leave the oven door open that long because it lets a lot of the heat out. I was just trying to show you some things. Okay, so it's supposed to bake for 30 minutes. So we're gonna hit our timer here and we're gonna do 30 minutes. And when it's done, it'll beep at us, okay? Well, we're gonna take a break. When we're back, I'll show you what we do with the finished product. Aye, lads and lassies, it's been a wee bit, but we're back. So listening to a little bagpipe music.
Scotland!
So, it's been a half hour, we're done. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna turn off the oven because we're done with it, okay? Look at that, it's a beautiful golden brown, okay? So, we've got our hot pads this time because everything's hot, including the pan. I'm gonna reach in there, my oven rack pulls out, okay? I'm gonna grab it on each side, make sure you have a mitt for each hand. And then we've got these trivets, we talked about those last time, and we're gonna put it right down there, and that's gonna protect your countertop, okay? Don't be afraid of the oven, just treat it with respect so you don't burn yourself. All right, now, a lot of people will put a little bit of sugar on the top of their shortbread. We like to do that. This is just regular sugar. Put some in a bowl so that it's easier to get out. We'll just take a little bit with our spoon. We're just gonna spread it across there. And the heat is gonna go ahead and kind of melt that into the shortbread. But it really makes a big difference. All right, now, I like to go ahead and cut it when it's still warm because it cuts much more evenly. As I said, what you'll notice is the edges browned up very nicely, and along the edge all the way around it's going to be a little bit thinner, which is fine because some people just don't want as thick of a piece. But look how that cuts so nicely, just like butter, just like butter. All right. If Scotland had to have a national cookie, this would be it, for sure. All right, now, once that's cooled, you're ready to have yourself a wonderful piece of shortbread. And what I did want to say is this, you know, cooking and baking are two different things. Cooking, you know, you can adapt the recipes to whatever you like and put different things in it, and it's okay. Baking is a little bit more of a science, so you have to stick pretty much to the recipe, because if you put something in it because you think you might like it, it may mess up the composition and it won't bake correctly. Okay, now we did put a little bit of vanilla in there, but that was fine. Just gave it a little bit more moisture, just kind of mixed in with the butter. It doesn't change the overall taste, but the difference between the two is just baking is a little bit more exact, a little bit more of a science. All right, well, I thank you for joining me, and let's see here. Let's bring that out of there. Oh, it's too hot to eat. I'll have to wait. But you know what? We've had some wonderful success with this, and I hope that you also do have wonderful success in your life and in your kitchen. All right, remember, you too can cook. One of the things I wanted to tell you is that you can store this in an airtight container and it'll last for a good 5, 6, 7 days, but I guarantee you it's so delicious it won't last that long. All right, one of the other things I want to tell you too is that I went ahead and did up all my dishes and got all that mess cleaned up from earlier because, you know, we had 30 minutes to wait, so might as well go ahead and get it done. You'll thank yourself later. All right, I wish you all success. Take care. Bye now.